also been told that some people have been listening to the radio station and they're loving it. And so the word is spreading rapidly that 96.1 is on the air, that we have the availability. People have been listening on the TuneIn app on their smartphone. That was amazing. And also streaming. So the core group of KNKR Radio that got that all done, well, fantastic job. So everything working and meshing together. And I encourage everybody to come here to the Kohala Reunion for 2015. We're at King Cam Park, of course, inside the gym right now. And they've got so many displays. It's really, really an interesting and learning experience. There's a whole display here of ancient Kohala before the Western contact. And there's another gentleman that has a whole table of pictures of just from the 50s. And I guaranteed if you were here in the 50s and 60s, bring back tons of memories. And right here we have Sario Cavallo. And actually, we were talking to Sario, you're a relative or friends of yours earlier today, right?
You were talking to my aunt, Christina.
Christina.
She is my mother's sister.
And she was the lovely lady who we discussed the USO with?
Yes, that's the one. You were also talking to Rose, and Rose is my cousin. Rose's mother and my father were brother and sister.
Okay. And you stayed or moved from Kohala?
Right out of high school, I joined the Army.
Okay. And that year was?
That was 1955.
And so did you have to go to Korea or anything?
No, while I qualify as being a Korean War veteran, I did not go to Korea.
Well, I'm looking at
the time frame for Korean War veterans included my initial service.
Okay, because I'm looking at your hat, and you were no slouch, because it says Special Forces, there's a lot of little pins on there.
I spent 10 years with Special Forces, formerly, even now known as the Green Berets, but now they're called Army Special Forces, and they have the SEALs, they have the Rangers, they have, there's a whole bunch of special operations forces that we have now. So a lot of the youngsters select which one they want to go into. And they all have their varied missions.
And so you stayed 10 years in the military?
No.
Oh, how many? I'm sorry.
I spent 22 years in the military.
Okay, 22.
10 years with Special Forces.
Okay, okay. And so when you got out, 22 years later, you moved or lived?
Well, I came back to Hawaii.
Okay.
Came back. We lived in Waimea for a while. Okay. We started off in Waikoloa, and then we moved to Waimea, lived in Waimea, and then we decided to go back to California. So I went back to California.
Now, when you say back to, that's because of the military that
right.
in California.
We always moved.
Got it.
In fact, talk about moving. During the Vietnam era, I moved 10 times.
Wow.
My family moved 6 times.
That's not easy, is it? Picking up all the time. You get your friends, new friends. And
yes, that was not easy. And we had 2 children, and the kids don't like to leave their friends, But I was in the Army for a reason, and they used me, and I go where they sent me to.
Ever wounded?
Yes, I did get wounded in Vietnam, yes.
Okay.
So we had some hellacious excitement there, if you want to call it excitement.
I can live without that kind of excitement, sir. That's not my kind of excitement. But thank you for your service. So
Yeah, well, when I got in there, see that the Army I was intending to stay for 3 years, going there. When the time came for me to get out, to come home, I started thinking about it, and I said, oh, well, I'm not sure if I want to go back to Kohala and work in the cane field. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I really liked being in Special Forces. I enjoyed it. and I decided to stay and signed up again. So, and I did that. I was fortunate to get transferred to Europe, stationed in a town called Bad Tölz, which is in the southern part of Germany in the Alps, south of Munich, Germany. Beautiful country, and I really enjoyed it there. It's where I met my wife, and got married. And from there, went to Fort Benning to Officers Candidate School, and because I wanted to better myself, improve my life. So.
Out of curiosity, during the military, did you find anybody that you happened to bump into that was also from Kohala?
Yes, we had quite a few. In fact, one of my high school classmates, we graduated here in Kohala. Mm-hmm. He also went to Special Forces.
And then you ended up together?
We didn't serve in the same unit, but we were in the same organization. We were in Special Forces together. And he retired, and he had a German wife too, and they retired in Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah, and and my wife and his wife became good friends because they lived not far from each other in Germany, and we kept in touch with him. He passed on a few years ago from his place in Arkansas.
Okay, so we're back to you went to California.
And when we left, you went back to California, and then I worked up there. Did work for an insurance company, and then I started working for my own, also, but associated with an insurance, like a prepaid legal insurance, and we did that for quite a while, and then finally I decided, I've had it. Time for me to call it quits. My two sons wanted me to relax and enjoy life.
Of course, before it's too late.
So that's why I'm now doing my thing, as they say.
And you are back here.
I'm here for the reunion. Mm-hmm. I'm also here for our 60th class reunion.
Wow.
1955. So I already saw a lot of my former classmates.
So who was your favorite teacher in high school? Do you have a
Well,
favorite?
I had several. Some I can't seem to remember the name, but and it started off in Halaula when a guy by the name of Barrett, Mr. Barrett.
Okay.
He was the principal, but he also was a teacher. I liked him because he forced us to think and to ask questions.
What a concept, huh?
Yeah, what a concept. And today, now, I can't believe it. And then I had some teachers at Kohala High School. One of them was Mr. Matsunaga, who ran the agricultural department in the FFA. He was a really nice guy. And one of them, I just met his son out here today, Short, Mr. Short. He was one of my teachers.
Someone else mentioned that name. Mm-hmm.
And his son is here. I sat down across to eat lunch, and there he was. I couldn't believe it. Hadn't seen, the last time I saw him, he probably was, because he's a few years behind me in school.
And where are you living now?
I live in Roseville, California, which is outside of Sacramento. If you drive from Sacramento to Reno, you go right through Roseville.
How many people?
Oh, it's grown. We moved there, had 42,000 people. There's 104,000 now.
So how does that compare to Kohala? We have only 6,000 in all of Kohala, so you're still a big town, and we're a tiny town.
Yeah, it's quite different. It's quite different. In fact, I was telling my wife, we came from the airport, and we got to the intersection, and the light was on. It was red. So here I stopped. I'm the car here, and then there's two other cars coming down the road. The light turns red for them, and two cars stop. And I tell my wife, we got a traffic jam.
Yes, exactly. Now, we pride ourselves, right, in Kohala that we don't have any traffic lights.
Yeah.
We don't want any.
That's right. It's great here. I mean, if you're really ready to settle down and you don't want to do anything, you can do here. We're the reason we stay up there mostly is because the kids are up there. I got two sons close to me. My daughter lives in Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay.
So we get a chance to go over and see them as maybe once a year. When they lived in Alaska, we went up there every year for a visit.
When was the last time you were here in Kohala?
I think, was the last reunion.
Okay, so that's 5 years ago.
5 years.
Can you depict any change in 5 years?
Not really.
Okay, just curious.
It looks basically the same.
But it's changed a little from when you went off to
when I left. Yeah.
So there was a thriving movie theater business back then?
Yeah, they had movie theaters. The VE theater is that when I left Halaula, the theater in Halaula was still functional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Nambu.
Oh, Nambu?
It would have movies every now and then. Now I don't see any movie theaters operating.
No, none at all. None at all.
Interesting.
So what else did the kids back then do? I mean, that you could talk about on the radio, you understand. What else did they do? But there were movie theaters. I mean, there isn't even a movie theater. So
well, they were into sports.
Okay.
I played a lot of sports. Once during World War II, when the Marines were here, they would have baseball games right here at the park. And the Marines would come and play some of the local guys. We had the games going, and I learned about baseball. I was 4, 5, 6 years old.
Isn't it a great sport?
Yeah, I love baseball. So I got to play, the local leagues, and then played in high school ball because we didn't have very many little guy leagues.
Okay.
And they had, if I remember right, I think Babe Ruth League was the one that for the younger guys. Then when you went to high school, you played high school ball.
Right.
And then if you got to college where you could qualify to play college ball, you played college ball.
Oh, sure.
So in fact, the first year of football, they used to play football a long time ago. Something happened, so a guy, got injured seriously, and they stopped playing football. So for many years, they didn't have it. Then my senior year in high school, they restarted football. So I played football 1 year, and that was the leather helmet days, no plastic helmet.
They get injured now. Imagine back then.
Yeah, the next year they played with leather helmets. So that was my 1 year high school football. I played baseball. I think it was for 3 years, and then I played basketball.
What position did you play in baseball?
Shortstop.
Whoa, that means you got to be able to move.
Yeah,
and have an arm.
I was playing pretty good then. Had a lot of fun. Then I played basketball. We played high school basketball, and some of the guys I played with are here today. I saw, running around. So sports was a big thing.
Going to have a pick-me-up game? There's some
here now?
out here.
No, I couldn't go out there now.
Okay.
The Army tore me up. I got injuries all over the place. So,
We're
but it was fun.
Dario Cavallo, and you had a very interesting life. I really like the Special Forces, and really thank you for your service. Something I'm a little chicken about. So, but thank God we have people like you that actually do it.
Well, there's a lot of people out there like that think about, what we got to do to keep this country going in the right direction.
All right, we're not getting rid of that now. Now we're going.
I could tell you a thing or two about that, too. So
I might want to hear it when we sign the transmitter off. Because I think you got some good ideas.
Yeah, we're...
So, okay, so you left. What do you miss? I know there's something other than your friends. What would you miss about maybe the lifestyle or something?
I really liked the Army. I just didn't realize how much I liked it. What happened was when I was in Germany on my second tour to Germany, my wife and I, I met her there. We lived there for a while. Then we started bouncing around the world with the Vietnam era going on. We were fortunate enough to get back to Germany in the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, everything was really down. The Army was in bad shape. We needed to regroup from the Vietnam fiasco.
Good word.
And when I say fiasco, it's not fiasco because of the Army.
Oh, no.
Okay, that had
political.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know.
But anyway, so when my parents, I had my brothers and sister, and we all got together and brought my parents to Europe, and they enjoyed it, and they kept asking us to come home, And I guess it caught me at a weak moment, and finally I decided to retire from the Army after 22 and a half years. And we came back. After about a year or two later, I said, man, I blew it. Because I was doing well. I had good reports, good efficient reports. I had the education that I was receiving, both military and civilian, were really picking up.
What rank did you get?
I retired as a major.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
From that place there in Germany, I was tentatively scheduled to go to Command General Staff College, which is the next step up for field grade officers to, improve yourself. But I decided to get out.
You couldn't go back in?
They wouldn't let me in. At that time, they didn't need you to come back in. Nowadays, sometimes if you're serious enough, they let you in, come back, And I was then 39 years old, I think I was 39 years old. So there are a lot of young guys coming in. They didn't need somebody like me.
Yeah, but 39 is pretty young, Dan.
Yeah,
it's 22 years of experience.
Not for the Army,
well, I don't know nothing about it. So, okay.
So that's where it ended, and I got out, came back here to the Big Island, and lived in, Waikolo, worked up in Waimea with my brother, and then lived with my dad for a while right here in Kohala. Then we bought a place in Waikoloa, bought another place, sold that, bought a place in Waimea, and then we decided to go back to California. And needed a better, high-paying job that would benefit from my experience.
Okay, and that's exactly what I was going to ask you next. Is you basically went back to California economic reasons, not for any other reason.
Yeah, basically economic. And we still had our, you got that itch that you still, after so many years, you want to move,
So, kind of a naive question. Is there anything that you could come up with that Kohala could do to stop people from leaving? I mean,
for the young, it's going to be very difficult. If you have young people like me that wanted to seek adventure, go somewhere, and get away from home. My dad told me, if you want to go somewhere, I'm not going to stop you, because he said his dad stopped him from leaving. Told him to stay home, go work for the plantation, and so forth. Well, my dad said, you go where you want to go. So when the recruiters came around and told us about the Army, and then in that year, 1955, they formed a company of all Hawaii high school graduates. And these high school graduates formed this company, were shipped by boat to California, to Fort Ord, took our basic training at Fort Ord, California. All local boys from Hawaii. So we had our basic there, and then while we were there, these Special Forces guys came around, wearing their green beret, looking sharp, airborne wings and all that.
Too tempting, right?
Just tempting, and 19 of us picked the pencil up and signed the line.
But it ain't that easy. Because you might have signed the line, that don't mean you're going to make the grade.
They wanted to get the variety, the diversity of people that we had into Special Forces, because we go all over the world. And we all went there, and then we started our training. In those days, our training took us 3 years to get. We would train. We would play hard with exercise, conditioning constantly going on. And then we went to jump school. And in those days, we had the 82nd Airborne Division was on the same post at Fort Bragg, and they gave us our airborne training. Now all airborne training goes to Fort Benning, Georgia. So that's where it all began.
Keeps changing, keeps evolving,
and a few of us stayed in. We liked it. We stayed in. Most of the 19, either moved to another organization or after their time was up, they got out of the service. So that's what happened.
If anybody wants to call in and ask some questions or get involved, we're able to take phone calls. Yes, you heard me right. All you have to dial is 884-KNKR, 884-5657, and Kyle T. will answer the phone there, put you online, and you can talk to Sario and discuss the old military. Maybe you were in what unit?
Well, I started off with basic training, of course, Fort Ord, then Special Forces for 10 years with the 10 Special Forces group, the 77 Special Forces group, and then from there I went to OCS.
And so if you were in his group, because as a major, you might have worked for him, give us a call at 884-5657. You can be the first caller ever, the inaugural caller on KNKR official radio. So, and Kyle T. is right there, ready to answer the phone line. So I know that there's thousands of you listening, so don't hesitate to give a call to 884-5657. Okay, I'm pleading, but I just want to test it out. So we're just checking it out and seeing, and if it happens, it happens. If not, we're still...
When I first went... Sorry to interrupt.
No.
When I first went in, I was enlisted.
Right.
So after basic training, went to Special Forces. I was still initially a PFC. Made some rank.
But there was drafting that time.
Yes, in those days there was the draft.
Because I know, and I had a lottery number.
Yeah. So
I'm glad I lost that one.
Then after I went to Germany and I got married, then I decided that I needed to better myself for me and my family, and that's why I went to OCS. I put in for OCS and got accepted.
So how long were you in before you got the rank of major?
Well, when you become an officer, there's time frames that you got to meet, and then there's also the need. If the need is there, like during the first part of Vietnam era, promotions were pretty rapid. You go. In fact, I went from second lieutenant to captain, which is two great promotions in 2-3 years. But of course, we were in the heat of battle then. Then when I made captain, shortly after that, about a year later, I got selected. I got placed on the promotion list for major, but I didn't get the promotion to major about 4 years later.
Wow!
Because then the Vietnam War was slowing down.
Oh, so they had no opening.
The need wasn't there.
It was like a job opening wasn't available.
Excuse me.
So that's what happened.
Hey, Len.
The Army, and they do this pretty regularly.
Yes.
We have a caller on the air, Hazel Troti.
Hazel Troti. Do you know Hazel?
Hazel,
okay.
Go ahead.
He's laughing. I think he might know. So wait a second. Wait 1 second. Let me do something. Hold on. Don't go away. All right. So we're going to put this on you. Okay. You can hear there. And do you hear me through the headphones?
Just barely.
Okay.
There we go. I hear you.
Okay. Hazel, you're on.
Aloha, Sario.
You know who Hazel is, right? She's my sister.
She's
listening to the radio. Just think about that.
Yes, that's right. And actually, I wanted to be the first on KNKR making a phone call in to welcome my brother and ask him how he was enjoying his stay at our home.
Well, it's great. I love it.
Great.
I love it. And I want to thank you on the air for putting up with me.
I heard you listening to you. You're wonderful. You're great. I have to get ready to go back there this afternoon for the opening. So I heard that the person that called would be the first. So I'm making history and call. I'm the first on the phone.
And you know what? No one can ever take that away from you. And we have your name and all that information, and you will go down as the first legitimate caller KNKR LP radio has ever had. And I'm sure that I appreciate it. We all appreciate it.
That's great. Do me a favor and let Bob Martin know that I wasn't first.
He heard you. He was here.
He was right here. He was sitting here when you called. Thank you very much, Hazel. And did you learn anything on this interview, by the way, about your brother that you didn't know?
Not really. I think I know almost everything about him. Oh, I will tell you one quick story. He never talked about his military time and what he went through in the war, and never did until one day he called me and he said, "I want you to go to Borders bookstore, and I want you to buy this book." And he gave me the title of the book, and he said, "Go to chapter 11." And that's all he said. And I did that, and I read it, and we never talked any more about it. He was very explicit and understanding what he has done for our country, and I thanked him, and I love him very much for all that he went through.
Great. Love you, too.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that story. And that brings back memories of my dad when he was dating my mom, and he was in the Philippines during World War II, and he was on the island of Leyte, and of course you can't say where you are, and he sent a letter to my mom, and it said, "How is Uncle Alan?" Well, there is no Uncle Alan, and his dog Lady. And that was it, and she knew that he was in Leyte. So that kind of code is not the first, and so he was obviously copying my dad's way of discussing. Thanks for calling again, Hazel. Appreciate it.
Welcome, and thank you all for doing such a great job. I'll be seeing you around. Aloha.
Aloha. Okay, so
that was interesting.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Kyle T, for facilitating that.
Oh, yeah, you are welcome.
This book he's talking about.
Yes.
A friend of mine, he passed away, lived in Florida. He was a lieutenant when I was just an enlisted guy. And we were on the scuba team, underwater thing in Fort Bragg. We got to be very good friends. And the book is about his life, and it talks about this particular battle that we had over there where he was trying to, how should I put it, save us, I guess I should say, because we were under heavy duress. But it's in this book, and very interesting.
Do you still scuba and do that kind of stuff?
I don't do that anymore. I mean, I have this heart condition, and I don't want to, put it to the test, so the saying goes.
But the military made you the man you are, along with the upbringing in Kohala.
I owe that to the military. Yeah, well, the upbringing, my parents did, my father always encouraged us to do things. And the military built me to what I became. It also gave me my education because they put me through school. I got my degree from the military. I graduated from Chaminade University, so it was great.
Well, I thank you very much, Sario, for to meet you and to be an interview here on KNKR on our first day.
Great.
And so
I enjoyed it.
We can only get better. We're going to take this off of here and put it on for 1 second and put it on this gentleman, Bob Martin.
This is Bob Martin, and you may have talked about this, but I'm curious about what you're going to do. You're going to be here through Sunday or Monday this weekend?
Well, we have such a short time frame here because we'll be going to Kauai too. I'll be here through Sunday, and then Monday we're going to Hilo. I'll see her, and we'll spend a day or two in Hilo. Then we'll come back here, spend one night, pack up, and then fly to Kauai.
So during that time, what are you looking forward to seeing? Are you going to do any tours, or are you looking for things that you missed?
Well, while we're here, we've got this class reunion going on also.
You'll have to be very careful with that.
So we're trying to schedule coming here to the Kohala Reunion activities and go to the class reunion. Tonight we got to go get our our formal function.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're going to spend most of the day here. Sunday we go to a class reunion, goes to Mahukona and have a little picnic there, and then Sunday afternoon we'll be back and start getting ourselves ready because I'm taking Christine back to Hilo also when we go to Hilo Monday morning. So we're going to be running
around.
Out
a few more USO stories
from her.
Yeah, of course. Who else knows better?
Yeah.
Because I get a more evidence of what my really did. Anymore.
Dude, when the Marines were here in the days of World War II, they were in Waimea. There were 25,000 Marines there. They used to come around to all the ladies in the different camps, and they would wash the clothes for the Marines. The Marines would drive the trucks into the different neighborhoods, drop off laundry bags full of clothing, and my mom and many of the other ladies would wash the clothes for the Marines. And so they come down and drop off the clothes, pick up the clean laundry, put them back in the truck, and we as little kids would run after the trucks on the roads up waving at them, and, they were waving at us and all. I remember those days like, it happened yesterday. Amazing.
Those would be great pictures to have from the people, the Marines filming the kids.
Yeah, it's great. I can visualize it down where we lived in Honolulu, where the trucks would back down. We live kind of like in what today would be a cul-de-sac. Mm-hmm. One road coming in, then houses all around.
Right.
Okay, and they would throw all this stuff out and play with all the kids. A lot of the kids, it'd be 5, 10 kids running around after the truck.
So you can confirm something for me. We've heard here over the years that a lot of those guys walked over from Waimea on the mountain road to get here for parties, dances, and stuff.
They did that. I'm not sure exactly how many or what they did. I know that some of them would do that. I heard those rumors. But what they did do is they trained. They trained over Hawaii, through Halaula, all the way to Waipio Valley, training, marching. Because I saw them marching on the road.
Wow.
I mean, it was, and I guess that probably instilled the military thing in me for, The other thing about the Marines, when they played baseball with our people, that's where I really got to like baseball. My dad took me to the games right there. We sat in that, used to be the bleachers right there. And it was, that's the bleachers. It wasn't a stadium, it was a bleacher. And we watched that ball game, and I would see these guys pitching baseball, and when they throw the sliders and the curves like that, I was fascinated with that, how they would get this ball to turn and break, How
about how the guy with the round bat hits that ball that's moving
right. At that speed. And then I got to learn baseball. So when they formed the team, I played, and my brother and I used to play catch at home, baseball. So that's how the fascination with that sport got to me.
The only thing I miss from the mainland is Major League Baseball. Because I had season tickets and would go to 60 games plus a year, and I just think it's the greatest.
Well, we don't go to the games. It's such a hassle. I mean, the game is great.
You got to get there.
But you got to get there. Traffic and the people. So I rather sit at home and get live viewing. It's close by. It's live viewing.
Well, we can watch the seniors play softball here.
Right.
And they're a good team.
That's right. Yeah.
They are.
So I heard about the senior softball league around here.
Oh, they take it very seriously.
See, when I was young, when I got to high school age, 16, 17, 18, all these different communities had softball teams. So we played softball, and I played for the Honolulu guys. We had a bunch of guys. I was the youngest guy on the team. So, guys like, I don't know if you know Stanley Gonzalez. He's the local guy here.
Yes.
He and I played on the same team. We had was a Portuguese guy, our pitcher, very good pitcher. We had always had a good team, the Plantation League. Mm-hmm. It was a Plantation League. It was fun.
Well, what a pleasure talking with you.
Well, I certainly enjoyed it, and I thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate you bringing this radio station here. I think it's a great idea.
And thank you. And remember, even when you go back home to California, when you go back to visit California where you're currently living, not home obviously, but back there, you can listen to Kohala Radio.
Streamed
live on the internet. And if you don't have the internet and you have a smartphone, it's on the TuneIn app.
Okay, good.
So you can,
I will get you. I will get you.
Okay.
Great.
And you can call in.
Okay, great. Thank you.
When we have, whoever on the line, you
when
can
you
call
have
in.
open lines.
Exactly.
Open lines Sunday, like somebody said.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Bob Mark. Okay. All right.
And you're listening to KNKR LP 96.1 FM Kohala Radio. And that was Sario Caravallo. And a tremendous interview that was. We found out all about Kohala. We found out a little about the military. And we had our first phone caller. So we had everything during that interview. So thanks again.
Great. Appreciate it.
And now I want to just tell people about our schedule that's coming up so that, you know to listen, okay? Starting Tuesdays, which will be on July 7th from 10 to 12, we're going to have the we're going to have the Kohala Connection with Forrest Arnold. And then on Wednesdays from 10 to 12, we'll have the Women's Voices with Isla. And from 10 to 11 on Thursday, we'll have Riding Home with Swap Shop with Carol T. and yours truly. And then from 11 to 12, we'll have Eco Talk with Holly. And then on Fridays from 10 to 12, Riding Home again with Carl T. And Saturdays from 10 to 12, Swap Shop with me. And again, on Swap Shop, you can buy, sell, and trade all your classified, all your items that you want that are used, and we'll be happy to take them and sell them if you're having a garage sale. We'll even list pets that are lost and found, things of that nature. So it's going to be like classified ads on the radio. So we'll take that information from you, and hopefully a lot of call-ins, and we can get a lot of stuff that you want to get rid of, because one person's trash is another person's treasure, as they say. And that soft opening will occur Monday through Saturday until the 27th. And then on July 27th, we're going to do a full morning block starting then. And that's going to go from basically 7 in the morning. You will wake up with Uncle David's big show. He's going to have a fishing report. He's going to have news and news bulletins. He's going to talk about the weather and sports and have all kinds of specials with maybe a police blotter and so many other things. So if you want your information, you turn on KNKR Radio 96.1. And then that's from 7 to 10 a.m. Mondays and Wednesday mornings, again, starting July 27th. And then from 10 to 12 on Mondays, Riding Home with Carl T. And then Tuesday mornings, the Cosmic Cowgirl is going to be on from 7 to 10. So listen for that. And then from 10 to 12, it'll be Forrest Arnold in Kohala Connection. Wednesday, remember, again, Uncle David's big show from 7 to 10 a.m. And then Women's Voices with Ira from 10 till noon. Cosmic Cowgirl returns Thursday mornings from 7 to 10, followed, we're not sure, but I think temporarily Riding Home with Swap Shop. And then after that, we're going to have Holly again with Eco Talk. And then on Fridays, on Friday mornings, we're still looking for a guest host. So if you've ever thought about having your own show and you're not opposed to getting up early in the morning, because the show does start at 7, we'd like to hear from you. All you have to do is go on our website, knkr.org, and under DJ application, fill out an application to want to do a show. We're looking for you for Friday mornings from 7 to 10 a.m. And then after that, from 10 to 12, Riding Home with Carl T. And then again, Swap Shop for 3 hours on Saturdays. And again, we'll also do some live remote from the farmers market in Javi under the banyan tree. So we're going to do a lot of fun things on Saturday mornings with Swap Shop. Okay, you're listening to KNKR LP 96.1 FM, Kohala Radio. And I want to remind everybody that tomorrow from 11 to 12 a.m., 11 o'clock is when it starts, the Independence Day ceremony by the Kohala National Guard alumni. So we really, really want a huge crowd for that. It's supposed to be a fantastic ceremony. They've got some special surprises planned. There's going to be some presentations, some discussions. There's going to be a whole lot going on. And then they're going to have inside the gym. Oh, by the way, we're going to be outside to get that live. So we'll have the Star Spangled Banner and all the stuff that's going to be going on, all the presentations, in our morning broadcast tomorrow. And again, we start at 10 o'clock tomorrow from 10 to 12. So don't forget to tune in. And remember, you can tune in. You can listen on streaming live, or you can even listen on the TuneIn app on your smartphone. So we've got you covered. We're almost like carpeting. We've got you covered everywhere. You know, you can hear us. If you're not in Kohala, you can hear us anyway online. Grab one of those spots. We have plenty of room on the streaming. Take a spot or go on TuneIn on that app. Works great. I tried it. Really, it works great. So here we are in the gymnasium right now. There's, if I was going to guess, I would say that there's a little group here of like 7, 8 people sitting and talk story. And over here, there's at least 5. And then over here, there's a couple. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a bunch, actually. I'd say there's 100 people or so inside the gym, maybe even more. They've got a lot of T-shirts. The North Kohala Community Resource Center has some really nice T-shirts sitting here that say Kohala and stuff. The Kohala Hawaiian Civic Club has a really nice booth. Kohala's Future, there's all kinds of stuff like that here. They have a whole thing about eating local. There's a beautiful display from the Hawaii Wildlife Center. So that would also be a good place to visit and to support. They've got great pictures of stuff that they're doing. It's really pretty neat. And then, listen up, Kohala. Do you hear a coqui frog in your neighborhood? Has one come into your property? Well, you know, they don't make the greatest sounds unless you're, kind of a masochist and like the sound. But coqui frogs are about the size of a quarter. They're found on in trees and on the ground. And they can get more than 10,000 of these frogs simply in an acre. And sadly, they can live to 6 years, and they make so much noise. They produce a 2-tone call. You probably heard that, coqui, coqui, and it's terrible. It can be as loud as chainsaws. And a lot of them are coming here because they're transported as hitchhikers on nursery plants, machinery, and automobiles from infested areas. Obviously, from the east side of the island, there's tons, just tons. I don't know why the signal would be breaking, but anything is possible, probably to cell reception. The Koki Coalition claims that there's been over $20 million in losses in Hawaii tourism because of Koki frogs. So call 889-1777. That's 889-1777 for the Kohala Koki Hotline. And it's a nonprofit organization. It's sponsored by the North Kohala Community Resource Center. And so if you're having a problem with Kokis, don't hesitate to give them a call. Again, that's 889-1777. And we'll take your calls if you want to give us a call, put you on the air, 884-KNKR. That's 884-5657. And Carl T. will be happy to answer your call, and we can put you on the air, and maybe you have something, maybe you can't make it down to the reunion, but you want to talk about something, we'll be happy to discuss it. So about that?
Well, I've been interested in material items of old Hawaii, and so I've just followed my interest level and learned to make many of the different items and make them all with the traditional materials.
Yeah, I was reading here, tools, weaponry, fish hooks. What kind of weaponry? It always intrigues us as weapons.
From slings to strangling cords to all the different kind of daggers, and tying the shark teeth in the traditional way with the olana cordage, which is what they used in the old days. So for a dagger, they used shark teeth and stuff? Yeah, they tied it into the wood, and what I'm known for is growing the olana, processing it, twisting it in the cordage, and then making the item. So that's what, there's a long line of events. You're growing something for years to finally get to the end.
So how did you get so interested to actually start doing this and then to do the whole thing from beginning to end?
We're in a group called Koanaiki Ohana, and we were saving a beach, which we saved in Kona. And it was based on native hunting and gathering rights. And so we did a lot of displays on fishing equipment. So I started with fishing equipment. Olana was the premier cordage that was used. And so basically what I found, when you make anything, if you use the traditional items, you get unbelievable insights into the piece and how it was used, and when you use the traditional plant, it talks to you.
So you kind of like feel like where they were, and we're talking about like
pre-contact forever ago.
Okay, so 1500.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and there is a legacy of this. The Bishop Museum. I studied there a lot. There's some fantastic books. I had several teachers, and so I just kept seeking it out and following my interest, and with nothing but just kind of passionate. I've always been a craftsman, and the thing that intrigued me most is the high level of aesthetics and intricacy that the Hawaiians used in their day-to-day utility items. They're so beautiful. So then to go back and recreate. So basically, I'm not creating, I'm recreating, and I enjoy that. I'm an artist in other ways, but I enjoy this, getting into really what they did, research it, learn the fiber, learn the knot, learn the wrap, and then make the item.
It's amazing. I mean, but I can, I obviously I've never done anything anywhere remotely like that, but I can kind of feel like how you feel about it. That when you're doing it, you're right, a Hawaiian from back then, and you see what it took to actually do that and raise your hair on your.
Yeah, it's you get a tremendous sense of accomplishment. At the end of all this, walking yourself through, you may not even know where quite how to do it, but the stuff, if you're using the real thing, it just starts to show itself.
Have there been anything that stands out that has been so amazing that that has really stood out of your recreation?
A lot of times it's the last thing I did, because I never did that.
Okay, so something brand new.
Yes, and so I'm always challenging myself.
Do you have something that you're planning that you could divulge?
Yeah, I'm working on some very mundane containers that have all these intricate designs and ways of lashing them together. So for me, it's like the new challenge to learn the new lashing.
So have you found that they had some things that they were like maybe 100 years ahead of, what other parts of the world thought that they were in front of, that really the Hawaiians were ahead?
the Hawaiians were ahead in many things. That's why it's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like their chief's helmets, the mahiolis,
Mm-hmm.
and their feather work, the capes. The capes had 300,000 feathers, and if it was a yellow cape, they had to get 4 to 6 feathers from one bird, and they had to catch them alive.
Why?
And there was a special group of people that were the bird catchers, and they caught the bird alive, plucked these feathers off, and let them go so they could harvest the next year. And the legacy, I've been with these capes, and to imagine the amount of time and energy and like support, the family support for the guys that went up, and how many feathers you only got at a time, and then they had to pass them down from years to years to years. And when you see them, and it's already written about that, it matches any gold and royalty diamond thing in the world.
Are there any? They still have some in museums.
Yeah, Bishop has a whole set of them.
Yeah. How did they catch the birds? Yeah, that's a good question.
They use, there's some trees that have really sticky gum on the fruit.
Okay.
And so they spread it on they watch where the birds are landing, and they spread it on the stick. The bird came down, got stuck.
Oh.
And then they used lime. They knew to use lime, and lime releases the glue. So because the whole art was to get these feathers and then let them go. So this catcher was highly skilled at finding them and then catching them, handling them carefully, plucking the leaves, and then cleaning his feet and letting him go. And I think a good bird catcher might catch 6 birds to 10 birds in an hour and a half.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to tell me like in a month or something.
No. They would live up in the forest, and they were experts.
Now, did they keep track if they took it from the same bird again and again, or they didn't? Probably not.
Yeah, maybe. I would imagine somebody that really spent his life up doing that may have known the bird.
Wow. So, I mean, really, if you think about it, it's amazing.
300,000 in bundles of 10. That's 30,000 bundles tied on these capes. And when you see the capes, you can tell that the level of skill was so high. And basically for me, I consider myself just a student of all this, and I am. I mean, the people that did these did them their whole lives, and the secrets were passed down from generation to generation. And so I'm just kind of stumbling along.
So no one has given you those secrets. You kind of are able.
Well, I've
had help.
Yeah, I've had teachers that are more masters than I am, and so they showed me, the way. But but basically, a lot of it is research and just self driving yourself to spend the time to do all this.
Do you teach about it? You do.
I do workshops.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, and it's really fun. It's great to pass this on and to light the spark in people, and then people get to really see what it took. And a lot of this is survival, because if there's no more Walmart, like they're saying it's coming, then you better know how to make string.
Well, as of today, you're doing it because you love it and you really want to do it and know about and learn about. But they did it because it was a necessity, and you're implying that it may someday be again. Thank you. It may someday be again. Hopefully not. But not that I'm a supporter of the story you mentioned.
And I don't ever believe it, or every 5 years it's going to fall apart. So. But it is a survival skill. And I had like a lady take a cordage class, and she was saying, now I'll know if I ever get stuck somewhere, I know how to make the rope to pull up my car out. So it gives you a different level of thought, and especially I love the good feeling when somebody learns a craft, the empowerment.
Oh, sure.
Especially with kids.
And so how many years have you been doing this about?
I've done it 30 years.
Okay, so you were 7 when you started, and what did you do? So you must have been in third grade then. So what did you do before? Just I'm an
artist. I'm an artist craftsman.
Okay.
For my whole life. So, I did India. I came from California, and I was really interested in the Indian stuff around where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to Hawaii, it's the culture, the host culture, and it's all I do now is make items. If I'm not working, I'm like, if you're driven, I have more ideas that I want to do than there's time for.
And last question: what do you do with the items? Where do they go? What kind of plans do you have for these items?
The national parks are using them in education.
Excellent.
I basically keep almost everything for exhibits, like I did here today, because I'm not making a bunch of one things. I'm making a big thing across the board. And there's a couple collectors, but like now I'm working with Nakalai Va'a, and so we're going to build a big collection for them for education. So I'm all about education.
Yeah, you're not making them to make a profit. You're making them because of the culture.
No profit.
No, I'm just.
No, I'm making them because I make them.
The love
if somebody really wants one and wants to understand what goes into it, but basically it just becomes a passion.
A labor of love.
Yeah, labor of love. Absolutely.
Okay. I know that you want to hear that.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate it, Gary, Gary Yoff, for coming by and being our guest. And I learned a lot.
Everybody.
Aloha to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is KNKR 96.1 FM. Aloha.
And you're listening to Fun here on KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala Radio. And our phone number is 884-KNKR, 884-5657. We are able to take phone calls. And that was a great interview. I learned a lot. That's really great that we have someone that's doing that. And it's really fantastic. So you never know. Thank you again. You never know who you're going to meet here. Right now, Fred Cachola is giving a seminar to about, I'd say, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, maybe 30 people, how the different towns in Kohala got their names. So really a pretty interesting discussion is going on there. If you're not here, you're missing it. We will have Fred as our guest tomorrow for a hopefully extended period of time, maybe in the afternoon, because in the morning is going to be the ceremony with the Star Spangled Banner and all that other stuff. So we might have Fred in the afternoon, but you know what? This is such provocative radio that you can't turn it off anyway, 96.1, and so you're going to listen to us from 10 to 12 live. We may go over if the ceremony takes a little longer. We may actually go longer than 12. We'll see. But we're planning on being 10 to 12. But we want to get that entire ceremony in if possible. Okay, so maybe we'll have Fred first thing in the morning. That would be even better. So we're going to try to get him 10 o'clock. And Gary, our guest that we just had, just ran right over and is listening to Fred in the first row. So he's very interested in that also. I'm here with Bob Martin, and Bob is now busily looking for our next guest, and who's going to be, and we're here at the 2015 Kohala Reunion, and I have Charles Short, a graduate of class of 60 at Kohala High School, whose parents were both teachers at Kohala High School. So what kind of fond memories do you have of this?
I have a lot of fond memories of Kohala. Kohala made me the person who I am today.
Okay.
Not only did we have good teachers, we had a good education, but living in a multicultural, multi-ethnic society made me the person that I am today. When I moved back to the mainland to go to college, I could not understand why there was racial prejudice. I didn't understand that. So I really thank Kohala for giving me, that personality that I have today. That I just love everybody of any cultural background, any racial background, any religious background. We're all people.
That's a strong statement, because especially now in the last short while, more than for a while, this is a major problem on the mainland, right? And there was no problem here. I mean, you
Right.
didn't feel it. You've learned, and Hawaii is a melting pot.
That's right. That's right. And I have often can't understand why I do somewhat understand why my parents left Indiana, when they did. They both grew up in an impoverished situation, especially my dad. And I think they just wanted to get out and get away from the place and have a change in their lives for them. They came here with jobs already lined up, with teaching jobs. They came here, my dad said, for a pay increase, and that Hawaii never really did experience the Depression.
Really?
They came here in 1929, and they drove across the country in their Model T Ford back before the days of highways. And my mother loved to write, and she kept a journal the whole trip. We still have that journal today, and I think you can find it on YouTube. I think my brother posted it on YouTube several years ago, telling about their trip here, and then where they grew up in Indiana, all white Anglo-Saxon Protestant community that they lived in. Nothing wrong with being all white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, but there's no diversity. So it had to be a cultural shock when they went to San Francisco, and they talked about meeting a Chinese gentleman who was very, very helpful to them and who clued them in about what to expect in Hawaii. And they got to Hawaii and got their orders in Honolulu, got on the old inter-island steamer, the Homo'ula, and sailed into Mahukona and offloaded their Model T Ford and drove the road.
Could you just imagine?
to Honomakau, where the teachers' cottages were at. It had to be
They drove their Model T. They brought the Model T Ford over on the steamer.
Yes.
And, oh my Lord!
And offloaded it at Mahukona.
1929.
1929.
Right in the Depression. That's when it began. 1929.
Just before, yeah. And drove down to the teachers' cottages at Honomakau, and it had to be one shock for them.
It had to be like in the Wild West, and when they were coming wagon from New Jersey to California, right?
Yeah.
And you say Kohala never experienced the Depression.
My parents told me that Hawaii really never experienced the Depression like on the mainland. I think they had to take, but not like they would have had to have taken as they still been teachers, where they were in the mainland. Actually, they were sending money back to their parents in Indiana and help them to save their farms, save their homes.
Now, was the educational system back then run by the state, or
it was the state?
It wasn't a plantation-run
No,
educational
it was
system
the
by
state.
that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what are your memories of growing up here around learning that you not being prejudiced, like being with people of various cultures and ethnic backgrounds?
It enhanced the education.
So, because everyone was in the school together.
Yeah, we're all schooled together.
Yeah.
We're all in it together. I remember going to the old Kohala, high elementary school. The old elementary school is where the high school is now. And I was 5th grade when the new elementary school opened up. And I was in 7th grade when the new high school opened up. And I remember the old elementary school, they had lights. They did have lights, but a light hung down from the ceiling on a cord with a light bulb at the end of it. That's the kind of lighting that you had. Fortunately, unless you had some bad weather, we called it Kona weather back in those days. I don't know if that's That's what
true
they
today.
call here.
Yeah.
Rain coming from the other direction.
Yeah. You didn't need lights, get enough adequate, natural light in the school. We had some excellent teachers at Kohala High School.
Yeah. And one of the pictures, the photographs that I've seen that is hard to believe is the band at Kohala High in 1955 or 6, and it's got like 120 people in it. It's the biggest band. Everybody's got their instrument, and they're all on stage. And they've got this picture with the teachers. Do you remember the music program?
I do remember it. I do remember but I think this person was more choral. Paul Sanders, who was a music teacher, and then I do remember a John. I think his name was John Ralanal, of Filipino ancestry. He was here for a couple of years. He was a band teacher. I do remember that. And I think there was another music teacher here, but I don't remember his name.
But the point is for me that looking at the education then that you think might be primitive compared to today, it just seems so rich with not only learning about the regular curriculum, but you got music, you've got all kinds of activities going on.
We didn't have a foreign language. I think English was a foreign language, and we all spoke Pidgin.
Pidgin was the language.
That was the worst time I had, worst adjustment I had to make when I went back to the mainland to go to college, because the Pidgin was so entrenched in me. Now to try to go to proper English. Fortunately, I had a professor. I went to Indiana State University, and I had a professor who was very sympathetic and very, very understanding of me, and helped me a lot to get me straightened out. Yeah. But all the other classes, no problem. As a matter of fact, the best math teacher I ever had in all my life was at Kohala High School, Hiroshi Nishida, 8th grade and 9th grade. And I tell you what, sir, I have a master's degree in mathematics. And this guy at Kohala High School turned me on to mathematics. Wow. And I've never looked back since. Wonderful, wonderful man. Excellent teacher. I think he's still alive. He lives on Oahu. He probably is in the latter 80s by now.
That's amazing. Yeah. Can you still speak Pidgin?
I think I understand a lot of it when I come back here. But
how often do you come back?
The last several years we've come back about every other year. I'd rather be here in the winter months. I don't like heat anymore. I don't like the cold of Wisconsin anymore.
Where are you living now?
I live in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Oh, in Kenosha.
Which is a city of about 100,000 people right on Lake Michigan, but close to Chicago, close to Milwaukee.
Has big winters.
We can have some very nasty winters, yes.
I used to go up there a lot. West Allis.
Oh, yeah. West
Petersburg.
Allis. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Milwaukee.
Area.
Yeah, I used to have some stores up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kenosha, they drink some beer up there.
Well, Milwaukee is more than
Kenosha had a really, really hard-working. I mean, that was what it was known for.
Kenosha was a very much of a blue-collar town. It was the home of American Motors Corporation, which has since closed. In the 80s, it closed. Actually, the Chrysler bought it out, and the engine plant just finally closed in about 2010. A lot of the Jeeps you see on the road today are probably our engines that came out of Kenosha.
Where did you live here in Kohala? Where were the teachers living back in that day?
There were teacher cottages right across the road from the school.
Right.
So I always tell people I had to walk to school every day of my life.
Across the street. But many of those houses have moved. I think they're all gone now. They've moved. I think they're around, but I think they're in what I call Tinkertown. They moved those cottages along that road over to Tommy Tinker's property, which is in Kapa'au.
Okay.
And so I think you may be able to find your house over there. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I had a brother who told me that the last house that we lived in, he was able to find it, but I think it was more in the Hawi area,
it could be
going out towards Kokiiki, that area of town.
Yeah,
but I never found it. So, but today where the teachers' cottages are, there's a quadrangle, right in the middle there.
Yeah.
Well, right in the middle there, and I haven't been able to check it out today. I haven't had time yet today. But the last time I was here, it was in 2013. In the middle of that quadrangle are 2 lime trees that my father planted in the 1940s or early 50s, still producing limes. And I always come to Kohala, I'll pick 2 or 3 limes. I don't know, maybe I'm not supposed to. And I always have a...
Wait a minute, your dad planted them, you can pick them. I don't think anybody would tell you to put them back.
And besides that, this place has with my morning papaya.
We can get papaya in Wisconsin, but not as good as Hawaii papaya.
Yeah, and there's so many limes in this community. Nobody's going to miss 2 or 3, I'll tell you that.
Especially not if your dad planted the tree.
Yeah. So you left before the end of sugar.
Yes,
right.
Before the end of sugar.
So when did you leave Kohala?
1960. Graduated 1960, and we left.
14 years before sugar closed.
Yeah.
Were there any signs at that time that sugar might be in trouble? Was there anything?
I'm not really sure, but maybe looking back in history, there was a long and bitter strike in 1958, as I recall. And I don't know if that strike was the beginning of the end. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I don't have enough knowledge. But coming out of that strike, the plantations started shutting down the different camps and giving the houses, I think, to the people who had lived there and gave them lots to put the houses. A lot of houses were moved up the Kinnersley Road and on the...
Was that going on in 60, or was that much later?
It was beginning to go on, yes, by then. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or if it was just a sugar economy worldwide, or just what.
It may, based on my reading all of the above, I think the unionization, the increased wages, on top of a lot of competitive forces around the world, Costa Rica getting into sugar and other places. So I was just curious about whether you could begin to see that happening as early as 60.
I wasn't old enough to be that astute when you're high school, when you're a 17-year-old.
What led your parents to leave?
My mother suddenly and totally unexpectedly dropped dead of a stroke on a Saturday morning while chaperoning the sophomore class picnic at Kona.
Wow.
That was 1958, and that was probably the end. I had 2 older brothers, and they were not coming back to Hawaii because of jobs.
They were both
engineers, chemical engineers. Okay. There were no jobs for them here.
Right.
So I think my dad said, it's time for me to get out here and go back to where I grew up, where I have a sister and a brother and some nieces and nephews and cousins. So maybe it's time to go.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear about that story. Still touches you, I'm seeing.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. Yeah. All kinds of memories.
Yeah. It was a huge shock, but this Kohala community really ran my family. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievably great memories of what the Kohala community did.
Well, I think you traveled further than almost anyone to come here.
Well,
Indiana.
I think according to the...
Wisconsin.
We have...
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to Kohala Mountain News, we have somebody from Florida.
Okay.
Registered, so
the furthest we got is Maine.
Okay.
But there may be somebody here from Japan. I keep hearing rumors, and I don't know whether that's further than Maine or not. So I'd have to get the map out.
I would think. That's a good question, because Maine all the way up the
yeah, could be
probably about the same.
Yeah. Did you enjoy school as well as appreciate the education you got? Was it fun to be in school in those days here?
Yeah.
Particularly with teachers, your parents being lurking around. I don't want to make it.
No, it was fun. I had to kind of be a good kid. I couldn't always cut loose because of my parents.
And you had two older brothers who would probably squeal on you if you got. They were wild.
My brother was just 2 years older than me, David. Is probably the most brilliant person I've ever met in my life. Unbelievably brilliant. Okay, the only non-A he ever got in high school was from my dad. My parents did not give us a break because we were their kids. We were just another person in the class.
No, it was probably the opposite. Probably expected more from you because they were your parents.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's usually the way it is.
Could be. I mean, there was no favoritism shown there.
Aside from walking to school, did you walk to all the theaters? Like, did you walk all around town?
Oh, yeah. Probably barefoot most of the time.
Barefoot, yeah.
Yeah, Hobby, sure.
Hobby, and then all the way out to Halula.
Halula would be too far to go. Yeah.
Did you have a bike at that?
Yes, we had a bike. But I don't think my parents would have let me bike that far. Maybe to Kohala was about the farthest I could bike to.
So they had you on a short leash then, kind of. like the kids today.
Yeah.
Did you go to Mahukona to swim, or was the swimming pool available at that time?
It was available at that time, but if we wanted to go to the ocean, and of course there was no coast road, was Spencer Park, and I loved Hapuna Beach, but Hapuna was not developed how it is today.
Yeah.
It was just like a little dirt gravel road at the end of Spencer Beach over the lava flows to get to Hapuna Beach.
To go over the mountain to get there.
You had to go over the mountain, sure, to get there.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's one of the huge changes that has taken place here is that coast road from Hawi to Kauai, then on to Kona.
Right.
And of course, with the resorts, starting with the Rockefeller Resort, Mauna Kea Resort, and
that was about 5 years after you left.
Yeah. About then.
It was probably under construction almost when you.
I don't remember them being under construction, but
they were probably buying the land and all that.
Could be,
in the early 60s.
Could be.
Yeah.
So you were actually born here.
Born in Kohala County Hospital, October 3, 1942. Now you think about October 3, 1942. That's 10 months after Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I am a Pearl Harbor baby. Because once Pearl Harbor came about, Hawaii was under military rule. Blackout, curfew, right? Night till the morning.
Submarines everywhere.
My family told me that they had to blacken out the windows in the house. My parents bought a bolt of blue denim material. Put them along the door, along the windows, so no cracks the light could get out. I'm born 10 months later. I can remember growing up in the 50s having clothes made out of that blue denim material. My mother
I saw that on Gone with the Wind.
They
sewed up. I remember her dress from the drapers.
Yeah, I remember that. we wore the clothing made out of that blue denim material to the latter 40s and 50s.
And so there would be nights where there would be just total blackouts. And you just no light at all.
And my dad said that, he told me that they were really scared until the Battle of Midway 6 months later. Mm-hmm. And after Midway, they said, okay, we know what's going to happen eventually. Yeah. Just a matter of when.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My parents told me that I think it was the Marines had an R&R base up on Kohala Ranch or Parker Ranch, and that the teachers from the mainland, their houses were always open to any kid from their home state.
And the women did the laundry for the Marines. Because that was some of the great stories we heard today.
I don't remember any of those people. I was far too young, but I do remember my parents told me about that. And I do remember my parents getting like Christmas cards from Marines, probably into the 50s.
So you credit Kohala for being the man you are, but really you need to credit the World War II, because if it wasn't for that, then maybe your mother and dad would have been too busy.
No. That is the reality. If it had not been for World War II, I probably would not have been born. Not have been conceived.
Wow.
There were some medical issues there.
Wow. Well, what a life. You know, the thing you said about the journal that your mom and dad made when they came across in the all the way to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
If that still exists, would you be willing to post that? Would you think that to share with other people? I mean, that sounds like an incredible story.
I really think my older brother, who had possession of that, had it transcribed and actually published it on YouTube.
Would we be able to get?
It's as far as I know, it's open. It's open.
Well, I meant to like the site. I mean, what need to search to find it?
I don't know. I have a copy of it on the computer, but I'm almost positive my brother did. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could go to YouTube if I knew what to look for, what it would be named as, or something.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Is there a way to find out?
I don't know. Maybe the Walter and Lena Short wedding trip, because that's right after they were married. 2 weeks after they were married.
But if we went to YouTube and put Short in, we might get a list of...
You might get it, or our trip.
And your dad was named Walter?
Walter.
Okay. And Lena?
Lena, Lena.
Wow. That's my grandmother's name, Lena.
Lena. So if you put that in, we could probably find that.
You might be able to find it. My brother was David. David is the one who would have uploaded it.
And it was 1929 is when it was
1929 to July, August 1929.
We'll do our homework and see if we can find that, because that was on the radio. We could do a program to read that whole thing to people chapter by chapter or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if Hawaii people would be so interested though, because it's about them traveling from Indiana to San Francisco. They didn't take a straight path. They took some detours.
Does it talk about once they get here at all?
I think it ends there. It ends in.
Yeah, but there's probably a fair number of people around who knew your parents as teachers.
I have run into a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think, and this is all, our radio is all about Kohala.
Sure.
And they made major contributions here over the years, and that story might be interesting to a lot of people. So we don't know, but it sounds nice.
Sure.
It's a great story.
Again, as far as I know, it was available on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, Charles, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, well,
I
thank
really
you
appreciate
so much.
it. You're going to have a good time at this reunion, I hope.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time here. And we're getting older. Our backs hurt. Our knees hurt. It might be our last trip back to Hawaii. Who knows?
Look who's behind you.
But this is Larry.
Larry,
that's how we know all about Hawaii.
Wonderful friend.
Yeah. Good.
I was a bad kid. He was a good kid.
He was a good kid.
He said the exact opposite.
That's right.
Thank you.
He was just talking about Moon and a few others.
Joe Kohala.
Joe Kohala.
Yeah, and Rodney Casimiro is going to be here soon too. So, yeah, he'll be here. So, and your class is 1960.
1960.
So how many people are in that reunion out there? About 20? Looks like
about 20. How many people are there? I don't know.
That's whole tent worth.
Yeah. Well, but it's several classes.
Oh.
Right, all of us around that
59
period.
and 61.
Yeah, we were all good.
How many were in? Do you remember how many were actually in the class?
I think we had a class of about 67.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
what are the classes nowadays? Do you have any idea?
50.
Okay, so
60, I think.
Okay.
I may be wrong.
Okay.
That in that ballpark.
Yeah.
What a pleasure to talk with you.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be back in Kohala.
I hope you enjoy it. And want to come back and say more, you sleep on it overnight, you got other things you want to tell us, come back. We'll talk to you again. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Charles.
Charles Short. Good
Thank you.
player. All right.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Yes, and we're actually, I'm saying this for everybody, you can actually listen to us even when you go back to Kenosha because we're on live stream on the internet and on TuneIn app on your smartphone. So you can get us. We're streaming live. So, if you have some nostalgia. Yes, we will. In fact, our plan is to take all these interviews and upload them, and you could listen on demand at any time. So we're at KNKR. Yeah, KNKR.org is our website, so you can't miss this. Remember our call sign, KNKR.
KNKR 96.1.
I'm sorry. Hello, Carl?
Hi, Len. I'm here.
Okay. I did. You said something, but I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. Just doing KNKR 96.1 FM, low power. Go ahead.
Okay.
Anybody else lined up?
No, I think we have one more that Bob is looking for because we have about 15 minutes. Well, he actually came back, but then left because we were talking. He was right there, yeah.
Okay.
While we were talking, yeah. Okay. Oh, there's Bob. Oh, get Bob.
We're here. We're broadcasting live from the Kohala Reunion with Len and Bob, Len Winkler, Bob Martin, and interviewing some really interesting and informative interviews going on today. We'll be also broadcasting starting from 10 to 12 tomorrow and 2 to 4 tomorrow. And from 12 to 2, we'll be rebroadcasting the 10 to 12 session. So tune in, KNKR 96.1 FM on your dial. And we're also, as Len said, we're streaming. If you go to knkr.org, you can see a streaming button to push. And if that doesn't work, then go into TuneIn. You can get an app for your iPhone or Android phone and download that app, and then you can find KNKR and listen that way too, no matter where you are. If you're out of range, we basically are 100 watts of power, covering only probably from near Pololu down to Puakea. So that's our area of coverage. Len, are you there?
Carl P. I have Bob Shoup here, and Bob has been an integral part of KNKR's not so much the origination, but what we've been doing recently. Bob is an old sound editor and knows a whole bunch of that, and but a newcomer to Kohala. So in the short time that you've been in Kohala, which has been how long, Bob?
Since last September.
Okay, so not quite a year now. What has been like some of your things that have hit you about moving here, and why did you move here initially?
Well, we looked at a lot of places in Hawaii as possible, and we just fell in love with Kohala. It had such a welcoming feel. The people are so warm, and it had a real strong sense of community, which we were really looking for.
And so you're feeling that now that you're living here, and I know you volunteer a lot of your time in a lot of things, and you've helped us immensely in KNKR. I know that it's not maybe it wasn't a big thing for you, but when you helped me just on that one sound program, I learned a lot in those 15 minutes. So you have tremendous amount of experience, and little nuggets are very valuable. And now that our production studio, which will enable us to do all kinds of shows and stuff, is almost ready. We've got all the equipment being set up. You're going to become a very important asset to KNKR.
Well, I'd really love to see KNKR become a community organization that has all aspects of the community. There are so many different little worlds in Kohala, and I would love to see as many of those as possible find a home and find a way of getting their stories out to other people. And if there's anything I can do to help with producing shows that do that, then I'd love to help out.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. I thank you for stopping by the booth here. And you just got here, right? So you haven't had a chance to walk through, and there's only a reunion once every 5 years. So don't miss anything, because it's going to be another 5 years for the next one.
I'm on my way. I want to try and see everything while I'm here, and then I'll come back tomorrow and see the new stuff.
That's great. And because tomorrow we'll have also at 10 o'clock, they're going to have, or 11 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, they're going to have the colors. The National Guard is going to, present that. And the Star Spangled Banner, it's going to be celebration for July 4th holiday.
Well, I'm looking forward to July 4th in Kohala, my first one.
Okay, well, thanks, Bob, and we'll see you tomorrow, and from now on. Okay, Bob, thank you. And that was really good talking to Bob. He's an amazing sound engineer. He did sound effects for major studios, and so he's going to be a major asset for us at KNKR, and he's already been a major asset. Bob is, Bob is going around trying to find one more person before the 4 o'clock hour hits, and hopefully he does. Fred is almost finished with his little seminar there, asking a lot of people are asking questions, some applause a couple moments ago, and that was due to his seminar ending. Like I say, by the time it was 3/4 over, there were like 50 people or more there. Hey guys, and a lot of kids walking by, and Bob is back again. Bob Martin has returned and empty-handed. I'll have to interview Bob. So Bob, you have been instrumental. A lot of people, know this, but you're the one who's basically started the movement of Kohala Radio coming into existence. And so how do you feel that your baby is actually on the air today?
It's an unbelievable relief. I feel like I've had learning curves that went straight up in the air, and my life has been really, really great on day one and really, really awful on day two, up and down like a roller coaster. So, but overall it's been fun, and I can't believe how much fun it's been. It's been absorbing me for 2 years or more.
So you've been involved in so many projects, especially in North Kohala and specifically. And of all the projects, and you don't have to say the radio, there's been a project that like really, sets you like that was it.
Like the last project?
Whatever the last one is, right?
Well, the business projects I've been involved in have been simple and easy. They felt like play. The resource center was a little bit more complicated, but there was really no big learning curves. The radio station has been like climbing Mount Everest, and I'm hopeful that it will, because of how challenging it's been. I'm hopeful that it'll be worth it.
I think it is. I think that what kind of response have you personally received? Because of course people are going to talk to you differently than maybe somebody else. So what has the average person that is here at the reunion, so that's, people have been here for years and years, what have they commented to you about?
Well, the people that have talked to me that are visiting here from the past have all been, like, very supportive. Like, boy, this is great. I've been surprised by that, frankly. I didn't know whether they would say we came from a place that didn't have a radio station and we don't really need one. But I think everyone that we've asked to be on has been on and has enjoyed it and sees value in it, particularly because we're recording what they're saying, and that's so important. And I just talked to Boyd Bond. He'll be on tomorrow.
Fantastic.
And he said he was listening to this on the way home this afternoon to the 87-year-old woman who was in the USO. And he said he laughed so hard he almost crashed his car or something. And so there's a certain electricity that I'm feeling around these interviews with these folks that are from Kohala and are really Kohala's children. And it's very, very, very encouraging.
Yes, I found it my newness here, but I found it to be extremely rewarding. Everyone here has been very helpful and enthusiastic.
We just found someone else we want to interview this afternoon, and you can sit down right there. This I'm not even going to say his name, but he's a gray-haired teacher. Almost gray-haired teacher recently from the...
I don't see any gray hair. Just so you know. My name is Len. I don't see any gray hair.
His last name is Brown, and his first name is not Allen. So he's a senior guy in the family. So, Chris Brown.
Aloha. How are we doing?
We're doing good.
Good. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, Bob.
Well, Bob put you here. So for those one or two people who are listening, wait a minute. I'm going to rephrase that.
No, it's me.
No,
that's okay.
I need to rephrase that. I know, but if not one or two people are listening, only one or two people don't know who you are.
That was a good comeback.
Right.
That was good.
Could you please?
That was good.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, well, Bob taught me.
Okay. All right.
So
glad to meet you, Len.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Chris. Tell us a little about you.
Well, I taught at Kohala High School for 38 years.
Only.
I came to Kohala, I thought, to stay for a couple of years back in 1968. Mm-hmm. So that was 47 years ago. I can still do the math. And
I was around that. Not in Kohala.
And finally decided it was time to retire when kids were coming to my math class, and before they take my class, they wanted to know grade their grandmother had gotten in my class. And so I said, no, it's time. It's time to hang it up. Mm. So that was how that ended.
How many years ago was that you retired?
I retired in 2006. So that's 9 years ago.
Okay, so obviously that's 9 long years. So what have you been doing in that?
What I did for a few of those years, I worked at the elementary school for the first time.
With Danny?
With Danny. Well, actually, it was with Ellie Laszlo first, before Danny came. And I worked with the 5th grade. They gave me an advanced math group and
you were tutoring?
It was a group that I had, a special group that I had 4 days a week in the morning from like, maybe 7:30 or 8, I guess 8 o'clock to 11 or something like that. And so I worked with them. And then I did that for a few years. And then I was a tutor at the high school in the AVID program. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting, too, because in the AVID program, the teacher was my boss in the classroom. And one of the AVID teachers happens to be my daughter.
Okay.
So she was my boss, but it was like, when she was growing up, she was my boss then, so not really much
nothing
changed.
Changes.
It was the same thing.
Our kids are our boss. No, we know.
Yeah. So then I started, I think I've been away from the school for, maybe 2 years now. Actually, this past, when was it? Right around Easter time, I got talked into working at the middle school where my brother is the principal, and they wanted Alan. And so they wanted a little bit of assistance with some of the math there. So I did a couple days a week after school working with some of it was mostly 8th grade, I think, with like a pre-algebra kind of a thing. But that was that finished up in just this past June. And then that's it.
And so now no more?
No more. No.
You're not going to go to 21st century, take that on?
No, I don't think I am. I don't plan to do that.
No, because
happy as a pig in mud the way I am, so I think it's going to stay like that.
And what are you going to do for fun?
Oh, I have plenty of stuff to do for fun.
All right.
It's not a concern.
Okay, not public?
No, I don't want to announce
Okay. I judge. But keeping it straight.
Thanks for your concern.
Your best. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been with the school for that many years. It's a long time. I mean, not that long. I mean, with dinosaurs.
No, it's okay.
No. So could you give any major thing that you've seen that has changed? Obviously, so many things have changed over the years.
One of the main things, when I first came to Kohala, the high school was grades 7 to 12. Okay. So when I taught math, I had 7th grade through 12th grade. And that was kind of interesting because I'd have like a 7th grade math class where the kids kind of tattling on each other and all. And then the next period, then I have seniors and it was kind of hard for me to change gears, but it was interesting. And then I forget when it changed, but then the schools split, and the 6th, 7th, and 8th went together, and then 9 to 12, and I stayed with the 9 to 12. So I ended up teaching from algebra through AP Calculus while I was there.
Oh, so you were into math?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny because Charlie's Short that he's a mathematician, I think.
Say that again?
Charlie, we interviewed Charlie Short. Charlie Short. Oh, yeah, he was, I guess, into math, or I guess we got his master's degree or something.
Oh, all right, okay.
Math. So he said that a teacher at the high school, I mean, we're talking about before you.
Wow.
He graduated in 1960 from the high school.
The Shorts, I've heard that name many times.
His parents were both teachers.
Right.
They came in 1929. Yes,
oh my God.
That's correct, Lena.
Short.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Lena and Walter.
Yeah, right. Walter.
And so that was 1929. So that was a few years before you. So you've been there a while, but not that long.
Just a few.
So So he was saying about math and stuff. And at one of the teachers at Kohala High School taught him some math, and he's taken that for the rest of his life and made him who he is.
Oh, wow.
So you being a math teacher, I was thinking, but no, you weren't there then. So
no,
it wasn't you.
No, it wasn't. It was kind of interesting, though. The first summer that I was here, so it'd be the summer of 1969, the plantation was still in full swing. Mm-hmm. And I got a job working for the plantation out in the fields, which was kind of an experience. I think it was one of the first times that one of the Howley teachers got to work out in the fields. And I thought probably I was going to die the first couple of days, but then somehow I did survive. But I worked with Tony Moiha, was the tractor driver, and then Max Sproat was the other. But we were pipe mover helpers and lifted up for the overhead irrigation.
So you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was neat. And then I had a part-time job too. That nights I worked at Mauna Kea Beach Hotel. Saturdays I worked first, and then I also was a busboy in the boutique dining room for about 2 years. And that was kind of interesting, doing going to school, coming home, going to the hotel, then just getting up, going to school. And I was younger then. I could deal with that.
A few years.
Yeah, a few years younger. Yeah,
but you're enjoying life now.
You betcha.
And what do you think about having a local radio station in Kohala?
I think it's super. I think it's really super. I know, who would have thunk, yeah?
Nobody.
Yeah.
And so your next career, have you given it any thought? Because, we need some volunteers.
No, I haven't given that much thought
either.
Okay,
well, I just thought I'd put that in your mind in case you want to give it some thought.
Thank you, Len.
You have so much more free time.
No, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for your concern. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chris. Pleasure.
My pleasure. Pleasure was mine. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. And this is KNKR, and thank you, Chris. And we're going to sign off for today, since it is 4 p.m. And I hope that you enjoyed listening to KNKRLP 96.1 Kohala Radio. And we're going to be here tomorrow again from 10 to 12 and 2 to 4. We have a repeat of our morning show broadcast from noon till 2. And we are going to, in the week from now, we will probably upload these broadcasts that you can tell your friends, family, people on the mainland, everywhere, that they could listen at their own time on demand to these beautiful interviews and these nostalgic times from great years past in Kohala. So this is Len Winkler broadcasting live on KNKR from the 2015 Kohala Reunion, and we'll see you all, or we'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great one. Aloha.
Thank you, Len. Aloha to you and Bob. That was a good, some very interesting interviews that went on today. And as Len said, we are going to rebroadcast some of them coming up. So we're going to sign off now, wishing you a good evening and afternoon. We'll be on the air again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. This is KNKR 96.1 FM LP. and we'll be back tomorrow. Aloha.